Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hakuoki Kyoto Wins. Today we're on Okita Souji's route, continuing along the common path and skipping the things we've already read before. So at this juncture we need to choose go back to headquarters, because that's where Okita is. And of course we're going to look for Okita. I won't tell anyone, I promise. I won't tell anyone. But please, for me, get some rest today. Please. He likes me begging.
Thank you. Besides, probably couldn't make it to Nijo in time anyway. Ugh, seriously bad timing.
He grumbled and complained like a child, but before long I convinced him to lay down and rest. The words of the men who claimed to be demons lingered in my heart. There were so many things for me to be worried about. However, more than any of that, I was just worried about the man sick in front of me. I continued to watch Okita, who slept with his back faced toward me, as I watched the dawn slowly emerge through the long cold night. This time, yes please again, what we usually say. And yay, I get to be worried about Okita again. We only get to be worried about him 1/4 of the time. This time I get to catch up. I figured my best course of action was to follow them and hope that I could catch up. Once again, trying to play ninja. How's that always turn out? And there they were. Just like Shimada had said, I could see Okita and the doctor sitting on a bench talking. Their expressions were grim, so I kept my distance and hid as well as I could. Which is not good enough. Eavesdropping was not something I was proud of, but I had a terrible feeling about Okita. Must know.
I'll be honest with you, Okita. You have tuberculosis.
For a second, my heart stopped. A shiver ran down my spine, and suddenly I felt very, very cold. Did he just say...
I had a feeling that was it. The real thing, huh? The famous disease.
Okita has...
You weren't surprised.
Well, it's my body, Doc. It's hard to imagine a cold would last this long.
Okita has tuberculosis? It was all I could do to keep from screaming. My whole body shook.
Gotta tell you though, I'm not used to getting health advice from doctors, you know.
This isn't a laughing matter.
Don't be fooled. I'm scared crapless, believe me.
The best medicine for tuberculosis is rest. I suggest you leave the Shinsengumi and eat nutritional foods to keep up your energy.
Sorry, no can do.
Look, this is serious. If you don't deal with this, you might be fine now, but eventually you won't be able to get up from your bed.
So I'll be here until then. I put my sword before my body, even if I cough up blood.
Why are you so desperate to stay here?
I'm the Shinsengumi's sword. My being here is my everything. I'm here to kill anyone who stands against the Shinsengumi. Simple as that.
I understand. If your condition worsens, then you may end up causing trouble for your friends. You understand that, don't you? If you insist on staying, then you must agree to do as I tell you. If you won't, then I'll tell Kondo about your condition. I think we both know what he'll do.
Man, this means I'm gonna have to take some really disgusting medicine, doesn't it?
Of course.
Man, sucks that it's you that found out.
Okita sounded cheery, but I was listening in a state of shock. Okita is going to die? My chest was tight, and breathing had become an effort. I leaned heavily against a nearby beam and struggled to hear the rest of their conversation. Matsumoto was quiet, his eyes looking off into the distance. Okita grinned and nudged him.
Oh, look, Doc. Please don't tell Kondo and the guys about this, okay? Promise?
He was quiet for a long time. At last he sighed and his shoulders slumped.
Well, I suppose there are certain things that not everyone needs to know. There's something else I've been keeping a secret. I just can't bring myself to tell her.
He looked up at the sky for a moment.
There's a rumor that Kodo is working for a group of extremists, some of the imperialist Ronin. How could I tell her that?
The news of Okita's illness had me so scattered, I almost cried out at this new piece of intelligence. My father working with nationalists? Then, Dr. Matsumoto did know something about where my father was.
Well, sometimes you get the bear.
And sometimes the bear gets you. Yes, I know. Well, I'll be around more in the future to come by and check on you. Don't push yourself too much, alright?
Thanks, Doc.
I was lost in thought for a few moments, and when I finally looked up, Matsumoto was already gone. Okita had tuberculosis. Father was working with men who wanted to overthrow the shogunate. My head was spinning. It was so much to take in. Just then...
Chizuru.
There we go. More proof of my innate ninja skills. I suddenly heard him say my name, and I froze. Wait, did he know I was here the whole time? My heart resumed beating, but was now beating so quickly that it seemed to burst my chest.
Come on, Chizuru. You can come out now.
Are you going to kill me? His deep eyes were looking straight toward me. So Okita had noticed I was here this whole time. I braced myself and approached him.
It's all right. Come sit over here.
He grinned coolly and patted the bench next to him. I couldn't bear to look into his eyes. All right. My eyes trained purposefully on the ground at my feet, I slowly lowered myself onto the bench. The silence was maddening. My head felt somehow light and heavy at the same time, as if it might sink into my stomach or float away like a balloon. The silence was unbearable, so I spoke out.
You didn't buy the crap the doctor was saying, did you? Come on, do I really look like I'm sick?
Sometimes you do. His words were defensive, as if he needed to tell himself that it weren't true. I was at a loss.
Man, that doctor sure is a jokester. How often does someone sick look this good? Well, if he was just messing around, I wish he would have said it at a more appropriate time.
You can't fool me with this.
I mean, he has a bunch of gullible chumps to which he's attending, so they'll believe anything.
Was it really all a joke? This was a doctor who was recognized in his field by the shogun, and it's unlikely he was wrong. Even so...
You're a doctor's daughter, right? If I really had tuberculosis, you would have realized it way sooner, right?
I think I suspected way sooner already, didn't I?
If you of all people didn't think anything of it, then I'm in the clear. It's just a misdiagnosis.
Considering Okita's condition, I couldn't imagine trying to burst his bubble. Nothing I could say would make the situation better.
You won't tell anyone, right? If you tell anybody, then I'll probably have to kill you after all.
There it is. I'd heard those words many times before, often delivered in a cheerful, casual tone. If I got in the way, he'd kill me. If I wasn't useful, he'd kill me. And every time I'd heard them, I'd been terrified by how serious he was. Really? Seriously? But this time, he only sounded sad. You say that so much, Okita. I could feel tears welling up in my eyes, but no, this wasn't the time. With a mighty effort, I swallowed the sob building in my chest. He gave me an odd, crooked smile.
Yeah, I guess I do.
He stood up. After a second's hesitation, I followed suit. Okita. For the first time since I sat down, I looked straight into his eyes.
What?
My mind was still reeling from everything I just learned, but I had to give him an answer. I won't tell anyone about your illness. I promise.
Thanks.
His smile was gentle and as honest as I'd ever seen from him. After he left, I stood alone in the courtyard. It was the first time Okita had thanked me for anything. By all rights, I should have been happy, ecstatic even, but instead I felt miserable. My heart was a stone in my chest, and my stomach felt as if it had twisted itself nearly in half. Okita. A stray breeze caressed my cheek, It felt cold. And skipping. This time I'm worried about the Furies. I think we have another Zuisoroku episode here. March 1867. March 1867. With the beginning of the new year came the end of Kyoto's harsh, freezing winter. A bright sun shone in the sky, and for the first time in a long while I felt the warmth of its rays. There was no question, it was a beautiful afternoon.
Oh, hello, Yukimura. Quite a nice day today, isn't it?
There you are. Was I looking for him? I hurried over toward him. Oh, hello, Inoue. Are you here with Kondo?
Yes, I am. We're taking a stroll around the compound together. We'd like to go outside, but if we leave without permission, I've no doubt Toshi would be terribly upset.
You're probably right. He sounded so adorable when he said that, I couldn't help but laugh.
Such is life, though. Why are you out and about? Is something wrong? You don't seem like you're cleaning or anything.
Right, Hijikata sent me to find you, Kondo.
Oh, then I apologize for the inconvenience. Did he say what he needed for me? Is there some manner of business I must attend to?
No, he didn't. I shook my head and Kondo frowned slightly in thought.
Could it be about Souji?
My heart jumped.
Souji? Did he do something? Not exactly, but he's been rather under the weather lately. His cold has dragged on for so long now, I think Toshi is concerned. Ah, yes, he is something of a warrior.
I didn't feel right trying to assert myself in the conversation, so I kept my mouth shut and listened. Okita didn't have a cold. He had tuberculosis. How many people even knew the truth? Was I really the only person in his confidence, however accidental? Nope, Saito and Yamazaki probably know from eavesdropping too. A lot of eavesdroppers around here, it's not just me.
In any event, I suppose I ought to go see him. Thank you for telling me, Yukimura.
I guess I'll be going back to my room.
Thank you.
I bowed to both of them, turned around and headed back. My mind was a whirlwind of thoughts as I made my way to my room. Then, out of nowhere...
Chizuru, what are you doing here?
Huh? My head snapped up at the sound of his voice. I spun around to find him sitting on the steps looking at me. But there was something that caught my attention. Ah, his hair is down. It doesn't even look long enough to put it up the way he does. Huh?
Is something wrong, Chizuru? Surprised to see me here? Come on, what's that face for? Not even going to say hi? I'm not dead yet.
You... He tilted his head back and laughed, his hair blowing softly in the breeze. It was a very different sort of look for him, which was enough to unbalance me, but it was also quite clear he'd just come from a bath. Why are you outside dressed like that? And your hair is wet.
Well, it was nice and warm today, and I haven't had a chance to bask in the sun in goddamn forever.
But aren't you still sick?
Yeah, my fever's gone down, though.
That doesn't mean it's okay for you to...
I was pretty sweaty after all that sleeping, so I took a bath. After that, I wanted to cool down, so I came out here.
I don't care how nice the weather is. It's still March. You're going to give yourself another cold.
Well, that's funny, Chizuru. You don't look like an especially nosy, hand-wringing version of my mother. Or much like Hijikata.
No, I'm a person with common sense that cares about you. I wasn't quite sure what to say to that. Although I was beginning to understand how Hijikata likely felt. Babysitting a big child all day every day. What are you doing? He looked up, already halfway through tying back his still damp hair. You have to dry your hair or your head's going to get cold. I grabbed his towel and began to scrub his head.
Hey, Chizuru. Do people ever call you pushy?
Well, I don't think I always am. I'm probably pushy because I'm dealing with you.
Were you always like this? I feel like I remember a time when you were nice and quiet.
I ground my teeth. He knew he was sick, but he wasn't taking care of himself at all.
Oh, okay. I think it's dry now, Chizuru.
Hey! He ducked out from under my hands and quickly tied up his hair. I stared at him at a loss for words. He frowned a little and turned away.
Now you're quiet. This is... Does this mean you're done whining? Or did you want to talk to me about something?
No, that's not... I meant...
You are really good with your hands.
I'd like that in a man. I was just thinking that you're pretty good with your hands. You tied your hair up so quickly.
Really? I didn't think that was that impressive. Maybe I'm just used to it. I mean, I probably tied it up like that 1,000...
He stopped mid-sentence and turned to stare at me. What's wrong?
Chizuru, I have a question for you.
Oh?
Nothing, too important. So don't put too much thought into it. What do you think of my hair? How's it look, I mean?
What? It was the last thing I could ever imagine hearing from Okita, or any of the captains for that matter, worrying about their fashion sense. But he looked entirely serious, so I did my best to answer honestly. I think it looks good. I don't quite know how to explain it, but it's very... you. It suits you.
Good. Thanks, Chizuru.
No problem. I felt myself blush at his smile. Just calling it like I see it. I don't think you really need to thank me for that.
Well, you made me happy, so I thought the right thing to do was say thanks. Actually, I might as well let you in on a secret.
Oh?
I'm sort of copying Kondo's. His hair, I mean.
He looks somewhat halfway between proud and embarrassed.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, I didn't realize it before, but it does look like his.
Don't tell anybody else, though, okay? They'd all just make fun of me.
Okay, sure. I wasn't used to seeing Okita so relaxed and easygoing. Perhaps he wasn't quite as cruel as I'd originally thought. Oh, we know that by this point. The nervous feeling in my stomach that he usually caused was nowhere to be found. I'm sorry for bothering you like that. I'll just go back to my room. I spun around and walked away as quickly as I could. I had climbed the stairs and was on my way down the hall when...
Chizuru.
I turned around to see him walking down the hall. He looked around furtively to see if anyone else was within earshot, then leaned in.
It looks like you haven't told anyone about my, condition.
Yes, of course. I promised.
I'm just a little surprised. You're pretty honest.
Well, other people are figuring it out though, so don't blame me for that.
I didn't actually expect you to do that. We're only supposed to be soldiers that care about duty and stuff.
He looked around almost sad. I didn't keep my promise because I felt like I owed you. I looked at him straight in the eyes as I said that. I mean, if I tell anyone, you'd kill me, right? I don't want to die, so I'll never tell anyone. Your secret's safe. His eyes narrowed, and for a few moments he just looked at me.
Yeah, well, I guess that was our deal. If you made any trouble by spreading that little tidbit around, then I'd kill ya. I hope you make sure it stays a secret then, Chizuru. I won't want to have to make good on that deal.
Maybe I should tell him, Hijikata and Kondo are talking about that right now. I know, I will, but... I chose my words carefully. I know you're not just doing this to be stubborn, but if you want to do things like you want to do, you have to take care of yourself. Please.
I've been curious about this for a while now, but why are you so worried about me, Chizuru?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. There was no avoiding that he was a frightening man, and indeed often a cruel one as well, but I still found myself wanting desperately for him to live. I couldn't tell if it was just pity or something else. Attraction.
I really don't get you. You've got to...
Suddenly his voice seemed to choke itself off, and he hunched forward. Okita! His body shook with each cough, and I ran toward him. But he shoved my hands away.
Don't touch me, alright? I'm fine.
But... He turned away and stalked off down the hallway. It was easy to forget the disease that was even now eating away at Okita's body. He was, in all appearances, in fine health, except for when he goes into coughing fits. That easy ignorance, however, was what made reminders of his condition all that more painful. I felt my hands tighten into fists as I stood there in the hallway, alone and helpless. And then we gotta skip more. And here, at this point when, Ito is leaving again, we have to choose the soldiers. And this time, someone neutral for the very first time. If I wanted a fair assessment, I needed to talk to a neutral party. And my best guess, that would mean Okita. He was close to Kondo and Hijikata, of course, but he seemed to stay largely aloof from political disputes. Perhaps he'd be able to give me a rational explanation.
Oh, Yukimura, were you going somewhere?
Yes, I was on my way to Okita's.
Oh, to Okita, huh? You need something from him?
Yes, I suppose. I wanted to ask him something. Do you know where he is?
I think he's over in the courtyard.
Thanks. I'll go see if I can find him.
Just don't forget you were hurt last night. You can't push yourself too hard.
Yes, I know. Just as Yamazaki said, Okita was in the courtyard. He stood gazing out across the garden. In a way, he looked more like an innocent child than Souji Okita, feared Ronin of Kyoto. Okita?
Huh? Damn. Well, I didn't even sense your presence until you said something.
Ah, you're losing your edge, buddy.
You must be getting rusty. At this rate, you'll kill me before I kill you.
I would never do that.
If that were to happen, though, I'd be turning in my grave.
Please don't joke like that. I know you're not feeling well.
So, I've got a bit of a cough. Doesn't mean anything. Anyway, what'd you need?
Huh?
Well, I don't think you came here to lecture me on my health. You want something.
Oh, right. I, heard that Ito and some of the men are leaving, so... Did you hear that Saito and Heisuke are going with them too?
Yeah. Next time we run into him, we'll probably have to kill each other.
He said it so casually that, for a moment, I was at an utter loss for words. Kill each other? Are you serious? This is Heisuke and Saito we're talking about.
Well, if they aren't my enemies, then I probably won't have to kill them. But if they end up fighting the Shinsengumi, they won't be getting any favors from me.
But you've been friends for so long.
Well, that doesn't matter. I am the sword of the Shinsengumi.
Sword of the Shinsengumi?
Yep, swords don't think. They don't decide whether it's right or wrong to kill someone. When the order's given, you kill, no matter who you are. That's my job, didn't you know?
There wasn't a hint of doubt in his words. I'm sure Okita would be able to kill anyone who opposes him without a bat of an eye. But those thoughts were just too heavy for me. Thank you. All I could do was bow to him and walk away. Well, that didn't really give me much perspective, but it was a little insight into Okita. And once again, yes, I am staying for someone in the Shinsengumi. I will go find the others. Again, you don't even know anything. Don't talk about things of which you know nothing. This time I try to escape. And it's time for another Zuisoroku scene. October 1867. October 1867. Autumn began to turn to winter, and nothing changed. The Shinsengumi was running out of captains. As soon as dinner ended, Harada and the others who remained left the dining hall. The few men left were working hard to take up the slack. So when Sanin arrived, the only people still in the hall were myself and Hijikata.
Okita is still his pleasant self, but his condition appears to be worsening.
I froze. This didn't seem like the sort of thing I was supposed to hear. But before I could leave, Hijikata replied,
What the hell? Not supposed to see you here anyway, but... What are you bringing up Souji for? Something bothering you?
In a manner of speaking.
After all, the water of life only works while one is still alive.
Sanin.
I could hear a growl of irritation in Hijikata's voice. That Sanin was the commander of the Fury Corps did not seem to frighten him in the least. As he smiled, Sanin's eyes became gleaming slits. Surely I did not need to spell it out for you, Hijikata.
Souji's not your problem. Keep your nose out of this. Clear? He isn't going to need the water of life. I'll make sure of that.
I doubt he would like for things to continue as they are. The tension was so thick, I swore I could see the air between them shudder. For several long moments, the silence dragged on, until I thought I couldn't possibly stand it any longer. I was only worried about his condition. His tone managed to be somehow conciliatory without admitting defeat. Earlier, I attempted to pay him a visit, but was rebuffed.
Yukimura, can you check up on him?
Of course. I leapt up, happy for an excuse to leave the room. Did Sanin want to turn Okita into a fury? A shiver ran down my back. The idea horrified me. Sanin's intentions worried me. Well, it's not like Okita hasn't been considering it. For the moment, however, I was more concerned with why Okita was keeping to himself. I made my way out of the hall and walked toward Okita's room as fast as I could without breaking into a run. Sorry, I'm coming in. I paused for half a second before sliding the door open and stepping inside. Okita? He had pulled the bed covers up over his head. If he was sleeping, perhaps it would be best for me to leave him alone. I was about to leave when I spotted the untouched tray of food and reconsidered. Okita, you haven't eaten your dinner?
I don't wanna.
I talked to Yamazaki yesterday. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding when he spoke. He said you barely eat at all these days.
I just don't want to. Is that really a problem?
Yes, because if you want to get better, you gotta eat. If you want to fight for the Shinsengumi, you gotta eat. He crawled out from under the blankets and gave me a cold glare.
So you're telling me I should force myself to eat, even if my body doesn't want to?
Yes.
Or are you suggesting that a little food is all I need to get better?
Not a little and not all, but still it's a component. No, My heart felt tight in my chest. Can't you just eat a little? If you don't, you'll just die of hunger.
Oh, what's with that look, Chizuru? What I do shouldn't be any of your business. Why are you so freaked out? You are a doctor's daughter. Maybe you just can't leave a sick guy alone.
No, that's not it. If I was an actual doctor, I might feel that way. But I wasn't just worried for him out of a sense of duty.
I don't need your pity, Chizuru.
It's not pity. He didn't seem angry, just irritated. That alone made me concerned. The Okita I was used to should have been much more frightening and aggressive. Just how ill was he? Please, eat your food. Even just a few bites.
Damn, you're persistent. But no, I don't want to. And I'm not going to.
Then, there was only one thing to do. I'll tell Hijikata. No, you shouldn't say that. You should say, I'll tell Kondo, because that's the one he'd actually be concerned about. But no, actually we have to say, I'll make something you do want to eat. Then I'll make you something you like. The word surprised me the moment they left my mouth. Apparently I was more worried about him than I realized. Go on, ask for anything. I'll go make it. I wanted him to eat something, anything, even if it was just a bite or two.
I really don't get you, Chizuru.
What? He looked away, and I saw him blush.
Porridge. I'd like porridge. The kind with grated radish in it. No green onions though, okay? Flavor it however you want, but I really don't like that bitter stuff.
Oh, okay.
Don't make too much. I can't eat a lot right now. And I'm only going to eat it if it's delicious. So bring your A game.
I'll do my best. Mostly, though, I was just happy that he was willing to eat something. I nodded vigorously. I'll bring you your medicine after dinner. His face twisted with an emotion I couldn't place.
Dr. Matsumoto's medicine is bitter. I don't like it.
I know how you feel, but you really need to take it. But the bitterness means it's good for you.
Yeah, sorry, Chizuru. I know.
When he looked into my eyes, his face was sad.
I usually drink it, you know. I don't know what you think I'm doing, but I'm working as hard as I can to fight this thing.
No, you're not if you're not eating. Come on, you have common sense. Okita. He hadn't been allowed to fight alongside the rest of the Shinsengumi after his illness took a turn for the worst, and that had been some time ago. Sleeping all day had likely helped his body, but it was clearly having a negative effect on his emotional state.
I know I've been kind of difficult the last few days, but that was just because I got kind of tired. Don't think I've given up or something.
Okay. I didn't know what else to say. I'm going to go make you some porridge. I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay. Make sure it's great, alright?
Of course. Don't put any pressure on me or anything. His words of encouragement followed me out of the room. I headed for the kitchen and set to work, making his porridge. Before long, one serving of porridge coming right up. I was on my way back, porridge in hand. Of course, once I gave it to him, he complained that he didn't want it, but with a little more coaxing, he began to eat. Be like, man, you told me you'd eat it if it was delicious. You gotta at least test it to see if it's delicious. Look at that cute dopey face. How is it?
I don't know. My tongue's losing it. I think it tastes good, though. And it makes me feel good.
See? It's good for you. His face was still slack and gray, but he swallowed every spoonful of porridge I offered. Good. To see him finally eat was a tremendous relief. He needed food, warmth, and sleep. At least that would have been enough if he was suffering from a simple cold. But watching him eat, I felt my stomach twist with hate for the disease that was consuming him. Eventually, he finished the entire bowl. Wow, that's quite an accomplishment. Alright, now you need to get some sleep.
Wait, Chizuru. If I go to sleep right after I eat, it'll give me a stomachache.
Yeah, it's not good to lay down right after you eat.
Could you keep me company for a while? I mean, you're already here anyway.
Sure. I was happy to stay, but what would I talk about? He spoke first.
Look, about what happened tonight. Delta Kondo, okay? Or Hijikata for that matter. I don't want them worrying about me over something stupid.
Well, you need to tell Yamazaki that too then. We both knew it wasn't stupid, but I understood why he didn't want anyone to know. He wasn't afraid to die, so what was he afraid of? Okay, I promise.
Good.
My response appeared to set him at ease. He settled back and let out a low sigh of relief. I suspected several of the warriors had figured out for themselves that he had tuberculosis, all due to his frequent hiding.
I haven't been in a fight in forever. All I do these days is sleep, huh? I'm not any good to the Shinsengumi if I can't even lift a sword, so how long are they gonna let this slide?
Forever! It came out louder than I'd intended. You can stay here as long as you want. They'll never kick you out. Hijikata knew about Okita's tuberculosis, but hadn't told him to leave. That seemed like proof enough to me that he could stay as long as he wanted.
But I'm just dead weight right now, aren't I? I can't do anything. I want to help, I want to take my sword and go fight, but I'm getting weaker every day.
Okita.
If I'm not going to be able to help, maybe I should just leave before they kick me out.
His voice had dropped to a mumble as he looked away from me. Whatever he was staring at, it was something very far away.
But I don't have anywhere else to go. What am I supposed to do?
When I was silent, he climbed back into his bed and pulled the covers up over his ears. There was nothing I could think of to say, so I quietly stood and left the room. No one wants him to leave. I knew there had to be a reason for him to stay. I just couldn't put my finger on it. But even so, as far as I could tell, The person that was frustrated with his lack of contribution was Okita himself. I knew that no matter what I said to him, it wouldn't take his pain away. Oh, Okita. There was no medicine that provided a sure cure for tuberculosis. On the other hand, I couldn't see someone like Okita succumbing to a mere disease. It was difficult to stay optimistic, but I had to have faith. He'll be fine, right? I wanted to believe it because I didn't want him to leave. If only there was something more I could do. Unfortunately, the cure would not come for many years. So, as the skipping continues, I'll end the video here. Hope you come back tomorrow for the next episode with Okita Souji here. And I'd be grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.